So, as I mentioned earlier, Sergeant Spaghetti will be bringing the Skaven against Krakenmeister and the Beastmen. This is round 1 of their best of 5 final. Okay, and loading into it now, and yay, I got the scoreboard in the right order. So Spite Reach is the map, and right away we're going to see some action. Oh, an interesting decision from the Skaven. Deathmaster Snitch way out in front of the rest of his army, doing some Vanguard scouting, I guess. But so we don't miss any of this juicy Vanguard action, we're going to start with the Beastmen. We're going to see Ungors and Goreherd alternating. Looks like we're going to have 4 Ungor and 3 Goreherd, one of them being the Blackhorns Ravagers ROR. Perfect vigor and stock. We have Ungor Raiders backing them up, 4 of them. Oh, I love Ungor Raiders so much. We have some Razor Goreherd Chaos Spawn. Who doesn't love Beastmen Chaos Spawn? We're going to have another unit of Razor Gore on that right flank. And then back here in the forest, we have Morgor the Shadow Gabe. Not sure if he was forgotten or if he was just trying to play it safe. And either way, can't blame him. Over here, we have a Bray Shaman, a Beast on foot with the Manticore Summoned Flock of Doom. Very straightforward, competitive Beastman army here. I have to say I like it quite a lot. We also have a 5th Ungor herd that I missed over on the far left flank. For the Skaven, got them Skaven Slave Spears making up that front line. We're going to have 4 of them, actually. Then we're going to have Clan Rat Spears holding on the back line. Council Guard, Unbreakable Storm Vermin. We have 2 Poison Wind Mortars firing away. We have Poison Wind Globadiers. Oh, sorry, 2 Poison Wind Globadiers and 1 Poison Wind Mortar. We have Ikit Zazap. We're also going to be seeing some Death Runners here in the center backing up some Clan Rats of Shields and a 4th unit of Clan Rats. Eshin Triad's going to be on either flank. And then, of course, for the leadership that we always have to cover, we have the Plague Priest. The Plague Priest will be on a Plague Furnace with Vermintide, Vile, Pestilent Breath, and then Snitch will have Deathmaster Sigil. I can't remember. The Whirl of Weeping Blades. Whirl of Weeping Blades, got it. Deathmaster Sigil and Slippery. Full speed that crap. Ooh. Poison Wind Mortars are real. These Ungor Raiders are feeling their wrath and going to start routing quite quickly here. Looks like a Pestilent Breath. Oh no, those are the Death Runners coming out to fight. And now they're going to be hitting these guys in the side, but they've just opened themselves up to a world of hurt from the Ungor Raiders, and I love that the Beastmen are doing this, just focusing in on top of them, firing from multiple angles. These Blackhorns Ravagers are very important to the Beastmen army, and so are the Death Runners. So, I mean, it looks like it may be an even trade, honestly, and the Poison Wind Mortar is just doing such good work against the Ungor Raiders. Looks like a... Oh, the Feral Manticore summon coming down back there. And look at the health just melt away from the Ungor Raiders. They are completely shattered, gone from the field of battle. And the Chaos Spawn are now coming into play. And once the Chaos Spawn get up here, I do think things may start turning around for the Beastmen here. That Unbreakable unit to provide their infantry with a nice stalwart block to fight off of. And then also, once they close that gap, they're going to be pretty much on top of these units. And as long as they can shut down the Poison Wind Globadiers, which it looks like they're doing right now with the Feral Manticore, they should be in a good spot. Beastmen forces look like they're going to start overwhelming the flanks. We have Chaos Warhounds with Poison, beautiful work, coming around here the rear. It looks like they're going to chase these guys off, but they're Skaven Slave Spear, so might as well leave them alone. But they are going to attack the Death Runners and make sure they do not come back. And now we're going to see the front line and the Skaven left flank just kind of fall apart. Skaven left flank has been completely compromised. Clan Rats are coming in here to try to help, but now the Gore Herd they were in combat with are hitting them in the rear. And at this point, you know, the Skaven ranged units have been shut down. And now it's really the Ungor's turn to start dishing out the damage in return. But I have to give a huge shout out to the Poison Wind Mortars, just devastating work to the Ungor Raiders. But looks like this rush is going to pay off. And the Skaven are just going to start falling apart due to terror routes and overwhelming pressure here. Morgor has finally come in onto the periphery of the battlefield. He doesn't want to fight Deathmaster Snitch. He's just letting Deathmaster Snitch sit in this big ball of units and try his best to stay alive. But now Morgor is feeling especially confident, going to be diving in here. And I think we're going to have a pretty quick GG to the Beastmen here. with a very nice army against Sergeant Spaghetti and his Skaven. You got globbed. Are we sure these are Skaven, says Killaran? And how did you know 8 ounces of water and a gallon of ice cream every day? That's how I stay healthy. Yeah, very convincing win to the Beastmen here. And also continuing to see the Warhounds do what they should do, chasing off routing units that are important. And look at that, pulling out of this combat to get back on top of the Poison Wing Globadiers. Yeah, Poison Warhounds. I love to see them used with such great efficiency. Where the hell did that even come from? Were there mortars somewhere else that I missed? I'm confused as to where those came from. The Stormbrew and Council Guard, the only thing holding on. Skaven hacks. Secret Death Stealth Sorcerer. There is no stealth. I'm confused. Where was that from? Skaven Hex. I'm confused. Did the Poison Mortars route that way and then get one volley off before they shattered and I just missed them? That's what I'm guessing, because they look like Poison Wind Mortars, but I saw them coming from at an angle that I did not think the mortars were at, and I'm very confused still. We'll never know, man thing. Alright, well, in any case, let's update the scoreboard. First round going here to Krakenmeister. Very nice win for him. Very well played and just a nice, straightforward, simple build. It's tried and true. Yeah, nice stuff. I do think maybe some armor piercing besides the Razorcore Herd can work. Sometimes I'll bring the Butchers of Kalkengard to get that terror and regeneration and silver shields, but either way, more than one way to skin a cat, right? Now, let's go to round 2, where Sergeant Spaghetti will be bringing the High Elves, and Krakenmeister will be bringing some vampires for us. The specific vampires he's bringing is Coast. So not Counts. We won't be so lucky to see the Counts here, but hey, who doesn't love some good Coast action? Now, intro card. Coast round 2. Update my intro card thing in OBS, and then bada bing, let's load in. Gonna take off that blocker, throw up the intro card. It looks like we have a Lithanar again. So Sergeant Spaghetti with the High Elves this time, taking on Krakenmeister in the Vampire Coast. It is round 2, and Krakenmeister leads 1-0. So nice victory there with the Beastmen over Skaven. We'll see if he can pull it off again and get a pretty convincing lead over Sergeant Spaghetti, or if we're going to be going to a 1-1 after this. So here we are, loading into the map, and starting with the High Elves, because their Lord's way out here, and we'll just cover him first. We have a Lithanar. A Lithanar going to be out here all by his lonesome. He's going to have, I forget what his abilities are called, honestly. Mislead and the Moonbow. Supporting a Lithanar, way back here, we're going to have 3 units of Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. We're going to have some High Elf Spearmen. It looks like 1, 2, and 3. In the rear, we're going to have 2 Silvering Guard. I absolutely love the Silvering Guard. We have Rangers, 4 units of Archers, and then we're going to have Warlines of Trace accompanying a Handmaiden of the Everqueen, who's on foot, of all things. Don't usually see her on foot. She's not going to have anything on her. And then we're going to have a Mage of Life, going to be bringing Awakening to the Wood. So not even bringing heals, just Awakening to the Wood to pop that non-stop. And a very interesting High Elf build. We'll see how it plays out. For the Vampire Coast, Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mob. 1, 2. Yeah, it looks like 2 of them. Then we're going to have 4 handguns, and a 5th one being the Black Spot. Got 2 mortars who demounted their artillery pieces, I think because a Lithanar was nearby and they didn't want him destroying artillery models. We have Zombie Pirate Deckhand Mob with Polearm supporting those units. And then another 2 up front with the Tide of Scold. We're going to have a single bomber. And then for that leadership, we have Count Noctilus, who's been taking a lot of damage so far. Captain Ross Moondial, Wraith Storm, Arcane Conduit, Malakos Mystifying Miasma, Invocation from the Heck, and the Drowned Dead going to be brought on him. So we'll see what happens from here. Critical binding on the Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mob. Lithanar's been doing some good work. And now it looks like the Handmaiden and the Everqueen is going to come over here to help support. Oh, I missed it. Vampire Coast also has some very important units over here. We got Scurvy Dogs for that mobility, which the High Elves have basically none of, besides the War Lions. And we also have the Lamprey's Revenge ROR hidden over here in the forest too. I did miss some units. Alright, High Elf Archers are getting into range, and they will be able to do a ton of work against the Gunnery Mob. Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers looks like are going to be in range now too. And these mortars do need to start firing. However, I understand the risk, but I think at this point they need to get mounted and just start trying to get as much value as they can, because the infantry is up here just dying in vain. They're not going to be able to close the gap in time, and they're getting torn to pieces by these High Elf Archers right now. But once the gap is fully closed, 5 handguns should be able to mix things up quite a lot. I imagine these Rangers will get completely deleted as long as the handgun fire is on point. Over here, Zombie Pirate Deckhand Mob with Polearms diving into Rangers. Rangers should be very well suited in that combat, but they didn't get a countercharge because they've been going after the Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mob. Over here, the Tide of Scold is getting focused down by the High Elf Archers too. And we're going to see the Moonbow going down on top of Count Noctilus, and he's taking quite a lot of damage, but looks like he should be okay. I mean, he's quite tanky. He has Invocation from the Heck, but Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, as well as a Lithanar, all focusing down on top of him. I think the Handmaid of the Everqueen is even trying to get up closer to get on top of him. So over here, going to see the handguns, like I was saying earlier, start firing away, and just look at the work they've done. You know, these Rangers losing so much health. I absolutely love to watch handguns at work. Gives me that Napoleon Total War boner. And they're starting to really do a ton of damage here. War Lions of Trace, all of the Rangers are starting to look a lot weaker. Back here, we have the Scurvy Dogs. MVPs coming in and getting on top of the Mage of Life, and nobody's turning around to help her. So that Mage of Life may get deleted right here, and then there goes the magic for the High Elves. Granted, it's not like a ton of magic is getting deleted in terms of regeneration or anything, but Awakening the Wood, the one spell they have, definitely don't want to lose. Balance of Power is pretty squarely in favor of the High Elves at the moment, though. So we'll see what happens from here. The mortars are going to continue firing away, and whoa, man. That did some nasty work to those High Elf Archers, and so many of the High Elf units are just bunching up right here that these mortars are going to have a field day if they start getting some good shots off. Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers are focusing on the mortars now, though, and the Lamprey's Revenge Rotting Leviathans are still hanging back, almost like an ace in the hole kind of scenario for the Vampire Coast, because if the High Elves uses all of their ammunition, then the Lamprey's Revenge should be able to dominate from there. Silver and Guard really the only thing that could give them a run for their money, but I just don't think they have the mass to kill them off and hold them down without some type of monster support, or at least a combat lord support, which they don't really have here. Over here, the Black Spot getting shot to pieces by the archers. The Gunnery Mob with handguns still doing a lot of work, though. It looks like the High Elf frontline units, for the most part, have been dealt with. And without those units, you know, these handguns can start closing the gap a bit more. The mortars are just doing beautiful work now that they are online. You can see the High Elf Archers start taking some serious damage. And these mortars, oh my god, like one good hit from them and it just does so much work. People cannot underestimate mortars. I think it was Krakenmeister who said that earlier in the stream too. And the The mortars are now online, and they are going to start devastating this High Elf army. And the High Elves are starting to get low on ammunition. You know, the Eagle Claw bolt throwers are okay, but here come the Scurvy Dogs, going to smash into the rear of these archers. And the Scurvy Dogs should be able to really shut down pretty much everything in the High Elf backline. Silver and Guard are diving after him. They just have to be microed out of here. Probably want to pull this way, get out as quickly as you can. But, you know, right now, things aren't looking the best for the High Elves in spite of a initial strong push. Not very lucky hits there with the mortars, but you know, the longer this goes on, the more value the mortars are getting, and you see it just like one successful connection from those mortars, it dishes out at least like a quarter damage every time. A swing and a miss. Handguns are firing here into this blob of High Elf infantry. These guys, looks like they just finished off, but they haven't been giving an attack order, so there's going to be a brief period of time where they're going to get shot up a bit. High Elf archers are continuing to fire away. The Scurvy Dogs have been dealt with. But, yeah, now the mortars are going to be focusing on this infantry that's trying to close the gap on top of the handguns. And we'll see what kind of work they can get done, because just don't forget, the High Elf archers, as they run out of ammunition, the balance powers are really going to start going towards the Vampire Coast here. So High Elf's done a good job of clearing up pretty much all of the Vampire Coast range units and infantry. There's a pocket over here that's still hanging on, but, you know, I still think the Vampire Coast got this. Funnily enough, you know, their mortars firing away, doing a lot of damage. They still have full models on both of them. We'll see if that changes after that volley. Nope, it won't. There's still 6 mortars online. And now we have the Lamprey's Revenge finally coming out of their hiding spot. And the Eagle Claw bolt throwers will be able to do a lot of work. But Count Noctilus, the Lamprey's Revenge have passive healing. Count Noctilus has Invocation to Heck and is one of the tankiest lords in the damn game. And the mortars have a ton of ammunition and are just going to be firing away. And it looks like the Eagle Claw bolt throwers and company are going to start shifting their fire towards Noctilus, which is going to allow those mortars to do even more work. Understand the thought, though, you want to kill off that vampire leadership, but pretty soon Count Noctilus is going to be right here on top of Lithanar, and it won't be so easy to shoot him down with the artillery rounds. And there he goes, getting into combat. We have the zombie summon coming down, tying up these Eagle Claw bolt throwers, and suddenly this is looking really, really difficult for the High Elves to come back from. The mortars have not been on point these last few rounds for some reason. Wraithstorm going down on top of the Handmaiden and the Everqueen and doing a lot of damage. And keep in mind, the High Elves have nothing to heal any of this damage. The Lamprey's Revenge is now coming in to engage the High Elf forces. They are full health, have all 9 of their models. Armor-piercing rounds on top of them that normally negligible will be very nice here, because it gives them a very strong skirmish tool on top of these very capable melee fighters. And I think it's going to be a Vampire Coast game, but I may be wrong. We'll see. Lithanar coming in to fight Count Noctilus. Not going to be the best combat for him. Rotting Leviathans have gotten their hands or their claws into that cookie jar, and the mortars are really going to be uncontested at this point. Oh, actually, that one's down to 1 model at least. This one still has all 3. Oh, that was the Mimic. I was confused as to why Lithanar was over there. He even fooled me. Mortars continuing to fire away, and this is the perfect scenario for the Vampire Coast. A huge blob of High Elf infantry and range unit chaff, and then Count Noctilus and the Rotting Leviathans being in the center of it, who they don't really have to worry about mortar fire. And all of these very tightly packed High Elf units will be a perfect target for that lovely, lovely artillery. Yeah, balance power is really starting to shift to the Vampire Coast now. There goes another Wraithstorm on top of the Handmaiden and the Everqueen. And the Rotting Leviathans, their armor-piercing rounds from the gunners they have on their backs, doing a lot of damage to the heroes here for the High Elves. And I don't know if they were forgotten or if that was intentional, but either way, you know, what MVPs, and if it was intentional, very nicely played, keeping that card up his sleeve until the very end game. And then once the High Elves have used all of their ammunition on top of other units, Lamprey's Revenge comes out to play, and they have absolutely nothing to counter them. Very intentional. Good, good. I like this game quite a lot. Very, very well played, sir. Those hand cannons are devastating. Lithanar, get out of here. I didn't bring enough butter for these crabs. Oof. God, I hope they fix the blood spatter like on units in Game 3. But a beautiful game. Very nicely played to the Vampire Coast. I mean, and the High Elves had a really strong start there. I mean, obviously they were killing off chaff units, but I'm pretty sure Sergeant Spaghetti, and I wish he was in here to confirm or not, was probably feeling pretty good about how that was going for a long while. And then, you know, at the very end, you had your win conditions in priority, Krakenmeister, like Count Noculus, Lamprey's Revenge, and the Mortars. Like, these guys weren't on top of their mortars for a long time. And I think it was honestly the perfect amount of time in hindsight, because by the time they got in there, the High Elf units were really starting to bunch up. And if they had been firing the whole time, I'm almost certain the High Elves would have just focused them down and destroyed all of the models early in the battle. So, yeah, some good patience on display here. I really liked, you know, holding these guys back until the bitter end. I do think the Scurvy Dogs could have had a bit better micro at points in the battle, because I don't think they needed to die. There really was nothing in this High Elf army that could catch them or take care of them, but honestly, they got a ton of value, period. You know, they took out the Mage of Life, they took down some archers, they tied up a ton of the artillery for a while. The only feedback there is like, yeah, I think when you're facing an army like this, unless they have a net ability or something, there's really no reason for the Scurvy Dogs to die at any point in the battle. So, but nonetheless, beautifully played to both players. I thought that was a very entertaining battle, and I liked both of the strategies on display. So we'll see what happens in round 3, because it's going to be match point for Krakenmeister. One more and he wins in a 3-0 fashion, guys. So get pumped. We're about to see what happens from here. So going back to the replay files. Round 3, we got Dwarfs versus Clan Angrand. You guys. That's bananas. Am I about to watch a Dwarf versus Dwarf matchup? A Dwarf mirror match? I am so excited. Alright, well, we're going to have Belagar Ironhammer against Thorgrim Grudgebearer. So, where are we at? Dwarfs, Clan Angrand. BRB getting a pillow. Dude, some of the most entertaining battles I've watched have been dwarf mirror matches. Not even lying. You know I don't play dwarfs, but when you see just two gun lines going at it, I love it. But if it's just hero squads on hero squads, then I'll be a bit disappointed. So let's watch the replay, throw up the intro card and remove that army blocker, and here we have it. Sergeant Spaghetti with the Dwarfs taking on Krakenmeister and Clan Angrand in round 3 of this best of 5. Match point for Krakenmeister, and we'll see if Sergeant Spaghetti can stay alive or if he's going to be sent packing. So over here we have loaded into the map, and let's go ahead and take a look at the yellow army first. So over here we have Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, front line of 5 of them. We're going to have Longbeards with great weapons. Looks like 5 of them too, because you have the Grumbling Guard here. You're going to be seeing 5 Thunderers in the back line. You have Grombrindle the White Dwarf, so even matching the card I put up for him. Got Flash Bomb, and Grombrindle has no fear. Other than that, he has like one unit over here, vanguarded, I think. Where's it at? Ah, there you are. The Ulthar's Raiders, ROR Rangers with great weapons. So for Clan Angren, front line here of miners, looks like 3 of them. Vanguarded over here, unfortunately close to the Dawi opponent army. We're going to have a 4th miner back here, and then a 5th one over on the far left flank. Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, Thunderers, so a similar front line for Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, and the Grumbling Guard being that elite infantry support. Got Thunderers, 5 of them. And then we're going to be seeing Halkenhalf Stonebeard. I love seeing this guy. It's one of those sub-factions that actually have some unique units to bring, and in this case it's Ethereal Dwarf Heroes, Deadly Onslaught and Foe Seeker. We got Felix over here with Helping Hand, Deadly Onslaught, Foe Seeker, and Blood Oath, so he can be healing up this Ethereal unit, and the Dwarfs aren't known for their magical damage, so, you know, that may cause some serious problems for Grombridle, the White Dwarf. We have a Rune Lord over here, Master Rune of Negation, Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin, Master Rune of Oath and Steel, Forge Fire, and Master Rune of Grugni. So already kind of getting off to a quick start. Looks like these Dwarf miners are going to be trying to pull back. A wise decision as far as I'm concerned. The Ulthar's Raiders just try not to get discovered by the looks of it, so we'll see what they end up doing. And yeah, both players just kind of positioning. High level view. Ooh, Thunder is going to open fire here, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get too much damage done. But you can see a really tight formation over here for our yellow player. And I think if he can engage this line as quickly as possible, he can very much isolate and overwhelm the right flank of the red player. But it does look like our red player here, Krakenmeister, is doing a good job of at least trying to pivot his army around, refuse that flank until he can get his line facing the enemy line. I mean, in terms of melee combat, it's going to go to Sergeant Spaghetti and Spades, though. 5 Longbeards? It's a deadly thing to be going against. Deadly. And one second, I'm going to pause it for just a moment. I know this isn't the most entertaining thing to do, but I'm going to check something. I don't know what it is. It's just like tickling my brain. I feel like that's a rule break. Not that it matters because we're watching a replay, but I just want to check for my own benefit. So, Dwarfs. Oh, no, they're limited to 5. I lied. Sweet. So it's not a rule break because I didn't think it should be a rule break, but I just wanted to double check. So here we are. The 2 armies getting ready to face each other, kill each other off, and the Dawi line coming over here to engage. And I mean, you do have a really wide army from this Dwarf player, and so I do think this army will be able to punch a hole right in the center of it. However, if Clan Angren could exploit the flanks, they may be able to pull this into their favor in spite of the superior infantry here. Miners with blasting charges are coming over. It looks like they're trying to harass this dwarf force. And Longbeards with great weapons coming out after him. But these miners need to start throwing in blasting charges. Otherwise, they're going to get torn to pieces. And it looks like they're turning around to run away from these Longbeards, who I haven't even gone close up on. But the Longbeards do have some pretty nice armor and some epic axes. And it looks like they are going right after the miners. That one beheading one of the miners who fell behind. And yeah. We'll see what happens, but if these miners just turn around and throw some blasting charges on these guys, they can do wonders, but it looks like they are getting pushed back a bit too far. I would have loved to see them kind of apply pressure as one of them retreats. So, kind of a bounding retreat. But anyways, back to the frontline engagements here. Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, fighting Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, but Master Rune of Oath and Steel down on top of these Dwarf Warriors. Honestly, I guess, you mean, it's definitely helping the combat, so I shouldn't say it, but it seems to me like if you're going to buff the armor of a unit, don't buff the unit that is in combat with an armor-piercing unit. However, Longbeard's going to be diving into these Dwarf Warriors, and they should make quick work of them. I don't think it will be a very even fight at all. Handguns from Clan Angren are doing some nasty work, though. We're going to be seeing the Rune Lord, and these Dwarf Warriors are great weapons, all diving through the center, and I have to say, Halkenhoff, Stonebeard, and good old Felix are making a very big difference here in helping eliminate a lot of the infantry units in the center. I honestly thought Sergeant Spaghetti would just be bulldozing through the center there with the superior infantry, but it seems like the wide formation from Clan Angren may be paying off here. The Grumbling Guard going after these Thunderers. All the Thunderers need to do, though, is pull back a bit, and then they can fire in. But now the Thunderers from our regular Dwarf player here, Sergeant Spaghetti, are getting in range. A little bit bunched up, but looks like they're going to be okay. Over here, the Longbeards with great weapons in combat with the Miners. I would love to see the Miners. I mean, it looks like they're just trying to go forward and start throwing a bunch of bombs into the Thunderers, but we will see what happens. The Thunderers are going to turn around now, and once they open fire, it should be vicious, but they're not opening fire. Miners aren't either, though. Oh, they've already used their blasting charges. I apologize. Miners don't have blasting charges anymore, but they're going to be diving in here. Longbeard's a great weapon, is going to be in front of the Thunderers, though. And only time will tell. The balance of power very, very even still. And the hero squad here from Clan Angren are going full tilt into the back lines of Sergeant Spaghetti. Alright. Master Rune of Oath and Steel plus 60 armor going down here. Could be a very big differentiator, especially with all these Thunderers here who can't do armor piercing for the most part, unless they're shooting, of course. Got Miners coming in to fight too. I would love to see these Miners peel off, tie these Ulthar's Raiders down, because now the Ulthar's Raiders are going to get some really nice damage. But the Grumbling Guard are turning around, coming to fight them. And yeah, we got a lot of armor-piercing elite Dowie fighting each other in this matchup, boys. And gals, if you're there. Also going to be seeing here Thunderers trying to shoot in, but it just looks like Clan Angren's doing a good job of tying them up a lot. Man, this is a close game. I really don't know which way it's going to go. Doesn't look like any player has a distinct advantage as of yet. Miners 2v1ing these Longbeards. Longbeards may win, though. Thunderers not getting compromised enough. It looks like Sergeant Spaghetti's going to be able to keep pulling him back and firing in. And if these Thunderers get out of hand and find some breathing room, I do think Clan Angren will be in a lot of trouble. Because their Thunderers, for the most part, are tied up in engagements. Granted against tattered units, but tied up nonetheless, not able to fire. So, we'll see what happens from here. Balance of power is in favor of Clan Angren, though. And I don't want to forget the Ethereal unit here in their army, plus Felix, is going to be a huge differentiator in the late game here, because you have a terror-causing unit here in the Ethereal Dowie Thane. You have the Rune Lord, and you have a hero that can regenerate the fellow heroes nearby. And honestly, Sergeant Spaghetti needs to kill Felix before anything else. Like, that's got to be his main priority. But looking over here, we're going to see the Thunderers taking a lot more damage. Granted, they are going to be routing the Thunderers with the help of Grombrindle. And they have plenty of ammunition, but I feel like at this point, Clan Angren should try to kill off Grombrindle. I really need to see them just try to team up on him and kill him off. He's getting out of position. Oh no, but now the pressure is being let up on top of the Thunderers. They're going to be able to start shooting that Rune Lord. And the Rune Lord wants to be near Felix. He needs to get that regeneration. Over here, Master Rune of Wrath and Ruin going down on top of Grombrindle. Why aren't they killing him? They could 2v1 him right now, and I think they would have this in the bag, but I do not know why that's not being done. But now it does look like Sergeant Spaghetti starting to regroup a lot of his own units, and the Clan Angren unit starting to look a bit worse for wear. You're going to see the Thunderers getting chased off to different parts of the map, while Sergeant Spaghetti's Thunderers Although I think they've taken a lot of damage and being punched up has its own disadvantages, but the fact that they're all still near each other means as we approach the late game, what's going to be so scary for Krakenmeister here is they can still really focus fire units to death. And what I mean by that is over here, these Thunders are spread out, which has its own advantages. You can't tie them up all at once, but they can't focus fire something by having like every Thunderer firing it at once, whereas over here, we have all the Thunderers in play. Once they can clear up the last of these miners, they can then turn their attention to the other units here on the field of battle, like the Rune Lord, for instance, and they'll just be deleted. Over here, Master Rune of Negation for that 44% damage resistance is going to be popped, but the Longbeards are proving to be too much. The Rune Lord coming over here unsupported to help out the miners didn't tip the scale in his favor, and balance of power is still significantly in favor of Clan Angren, though. Honestly, if they kill off Grombrindle, it's over. They need to kill Grombrindle, but I don't think they're going to be going after him still. Oh, there goes a flash bomb, and now Grombrindle is coming into combat. Does Grombrindle have magic damage? Oh, no, that's what it is. Grombrindle has magic damage. I'm stupid. Forgive me, chat, and particular player. I forgot that Grombrindle has magical damage, so yeah, Halkenhoff Stonebeard really needs to be careful around him, but still stand by that I think a double team scenario, Grombrindle will lose to these two heroes. But now that the Thunderers are firing in, things are looking a bit dicey, and the Dwarf leadership over here is going to run away. Oh, Felix getting focused hard, and this is where the battle I think is going to take a sharp turn in favor of our blue player, Sergeant Spaghetti. Oh, they were regular miners, no blasting charges. Look at how much I'm missing, people. I could have been reading the chat and not making an ass of myself for so long. But balance power going back to dead even. Felix and Halkenhoff doing okay. But it just looks like the numbers are really stacking against them. Thunderers on the peripheries are actually doing okay, so if these heroes regroup with them, maybe they can mount a last stand. So we'll see what happens from here. Shadow Haze 89, thank you so much for the follow, man. I appreciate it greatly. But yeah, the Thunderers on Spaghetti's side have a lot more ammunition. And that's just going to be impossible to overcome, I think, at this point of the battle. Whatever the balance of power says... Yeah, there's just really no units from Clan Angren left besides the heroes that can do anything, and the heroes without any support are going to get shot down by Thunderers and then probably killed off by Grombrindle. Yeah, unless there's a big mistake made here, I don't see a path to victory anymore for our red player, Krakenmeister, here. He is the White Dwarf. Yes, he is, Killaran. I mean, Clan Angren was in a strong position initially there, and I don't want to take away at all from Spaghetti's gameplay, but I do think... if I were to see this in hindsight, like we're seeing now as the third party, I guess maybe the main focus needed to be on killing Grombrindle and then the Thunderers, which seems very obvious, but I think maybe if Grombrindle, I can't say there was ever an opportunity that presented itself, but maybe if the Rune Lord, the Thane, and Felix triple-teamed Grombrindle, Master Rune of Wrath and ruined him to where he couldn't escape, something good could have happened, but hindsight's always 20/20. Yeah, tried too hard to catch the Thunders and just couldn't do it. That's maybe something that could have been done in hindsight, is you remember over here there was the combat with the two miners on top of the Longbeard from either side. Maybe just ignore the Longbeard and use all of the miners to keep chasing down Thunders, but once again, easier said than done, just trying to find things that maybe could have been done to change the outcome here. But in any case, looks like the Thunderers from Sergeant Spaghetti are going to come out on top in this Dwarf mirror match. And I thought that was fun. I don't care what Killeran says. Yeah, focus down Grombrindle first. Because if Grombrindle was dead, then your Thane truly had nothing to worry about. You know, like, without Grombrindle, this Dwarf army could have just, like, broken themselves on top of Halkenhoff Stonebeard. That's pretty disrespectful, though, the White Dwarf killing off a Dowie ancestor. That magical damage is nasty. Way to go, Grombrindle. I hope you're happy. Killing off your ancestors. Rude. The White Dwarf. Well, there we have it, folks. I mean, I think Spaghetti honestly only won because 11-11. You know, that's an unbeatable combination of numbers right there. No, I kid. It was very well played to both players. And funnily enough, I mean, the Longbeards definitely really helped lead the way to victory there because that elite infantry just really outclassed everything here. But at the end of the day, it's kind of counterintuitive to me because I liked that all these Thunders were spread out, but I think he just had so much quality infantry that he was able to chase them off and keep them out of range for a lot of the battle. Whereas what I initially thought was a bad play from him, keeping all his Thunders together, actually turned out to pay off the further the battle progressed because they had a lot of ammunition. They could support each other from combat. So what I mean by that is like one Thunderer gets tied up in combat and the other ones just start shooting whatever's attacking it. Whereas I do think Spaghetti, to give a shout out there, did a very good job of keeping the pressure up on Krakenmeister's Thunderers. Once he started chasing them, he kept chasing them, and even though a lot of them came back at the end of the game, they were kind of too far out of position to be of any big benefit to Krakenmeister's army, or what was left of it by the time it came to the late game. So great games all across here. And look at that, Sergeant Spaghetti fighting to stay alive. Ha, 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 ha. And they'll be going on to round 4 right now. So exciting stuff. Now all right, we got the army blocker up. Let's continue. Go pull up that replay screen. And here we have it. So this is round 4 between these two fine players. Sergeant Spaghetti going to be bringing the Vampire Coast this time around against the Dark Elves of Krakenmeister. Yeah, Dark Elves. Aha, there you are. Round 4. Copy result. So, here we go, everybody. Going to load up the replay. We're going to take off the blocker and throw up the intro card. And here it is. Sergeant Spaghetti, Vampire Coast versus Krakenmeister and the Dark Elves. Round 4 of this best of 5 final for Fresh Recruit Tournament number 6. As a reminder, this is the 2nd season of the Fresh Recruit League. If you know any new players who are interested in the game and want to learn how to do it, definitely point them our direction. Now, here it is. The Ogham Shard is the map. And for the Vampire Coast, we're going to see... okay, I don't know why I got confused there. 4 deckhand mob up front. We're going to have 2 bombers. We're going to have handguns behind them, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 units of handguns by the looks of it. We've got 3 pole arms. We have a fireball flying in here. We've got 2 deck gunners in the center. We've got ourselves a couple of mortars back here too, and one of them getting destroyed by that fireball. We're going to have Rotting Promethean gunnery mob here. Zombie pirate deckhand mob with pole arms holding down those flanks. who I actually already covered. Got Count Noctilus on foot, his usual kit. And, oh my goodness, we also have Zombie Pirate Gunnery Mob with hand cannons. So just one of them over here on the side. And we'll see what happens as the battle progresses. Meanwhile, for the Dark Elves, we have that Supreme Sorceress of Fire, popping that Opal Amulet for 22% damage resistance. Burning Head, Fireball, and Arcane Conduit going to be on top of her. Now, for the rest of the Dark Elf army, looking at the infantry here, we're going to be seeing a front line consisting of 4 Blackheart Corsairs, and then we're going to have 4 Witch Elves with Sisters of Slaughter. Holy hell. Other than this, we're going to have Bleak Swords, 1 on either flank, and a 3rd one actually on the right flank, so it looks like we have a total of 3. Got Repeater Crossbows, 2, 4 vanguarded around the map, and we'll see what happens from here. I mean, this Vampire Coast army has a ton of firepower, and the mortars, if they aren't dealt with, will be doing a ton of work against the elite Dark Elf infantry. But if Krakenmeister, our red player, can close the gap, his infantry will have a field day with this army. That many Witch Elves, that many Blackheart Corsairs, that will just devastate this army. And look at this, Repeater Crossbows are coming in, and it does look like they're going to start focusing on, is that the deck gunners or the mortars? I can't quite tell. But yeah, now we're going to be seeing the handguns turn around and start focusing on them, so they got to be careful. But here comes another Fireball from the Supreme Sorceress, and we'll see what kind of work it does. A lot of terrain features here to work with, though, and it looks like mortars are both down a model, so only 4 mortar models on the field of battle right now. Nice thing about this map for the Dark Elves, if they want to avoid the handgun fire, though, is there's a lot of these little depressions. You'd be surprised you get into this little depression, bada bing, bada boom. The handgunners can't hit you. That's one of my favorite parts about the Total War franchise, is the fact that little subtle changes in terrain, height, and elevation can completely block certain units with direct line fire. So Repeater Crossbows obviously have an arc of fire, so they can fire over that hill, whereas the handguns can't shoot through the hill. Over here, the front lines have gotten engaged. Blackheart Corsairs doing some mean work. Bombers, though, going to have a beautiful target here. Look at all these Witch Elves bunched on top of each other. One volley from these bombs, if they get it down in time, will absolutely devastate these guys. They have very little armor, and bombs going to be perfectly suited for it. But we're going to be seeing that the gap has been closed. The Dark Elves are on top of the Vampire Coast, and that's going to cause some problems. So we'll see if they can chew through the front line quickly enough to get on top of those juicy range units. As long as they can get on top of the range units, it'll be a game over. But it seems like our ranged units here from the Vampire Coast are doing a ton of work. Sergeant Spaghetti laying down a ton of firepower on top of these Dark Elves, and the bunches of Witch Elves, there's the bundles of Witch Elves that are forming up on the front line, are getting destroyed by the bombers. Absolutely disgusting, and the mortars firing in as well. It is just so much damage going down on those Dark Elf infantry units that really I just think got far too much bunched up on the front line, and with their superior numbers they really needed to focus those flanks and turn back. But I saw 2 Witch Elves bunched up on top of each other. Some of the Witch Elves bunched up on top of Blackheart Corsairs, and that has played exactly into the hands of this Vampire Coast army with the mortars that weren't quite dealt with, and possibly more importantly, the deckhand bombers. Those guys just shredded so many units, and you know the deck gunners also going to be doing a lot of damage here, shooting into the Supreme Sorceress of Fire, and she's very low on health. Opal Amulet or not, she is looking worse for wear, and I think we're going to be seeing a very convincing Vampire Coast win over the Dark Elves on the Ogham Shard. So I think we're going to a round 5, everybody. Ace match, and who doesn't love to see an ace match in a final? Very nice comeback to Sergeant Spaghetti after a 2-0 deficit, where Krakenmeister was really doing well in those first games and had some very convincing wins. But both of these players clearly seem to be evenly matched, and unless something crazy happens like a burning head that kills everything, looks like the Dark Elves are going to go down. That's a good point. I know Grombrindle is basically some mythic figure who always appears, but I don't know. It's an ethereal dwarf. That's got to be something special too. So Killaran, you're probably right. Grombrindle, does he have children? Does he just have endless children as he wanders the world and only shows up on occasion to help? Naked Elves versus Shrapnel. Yeah, that was rough. Those witch elves, very great infantry. Same with the Black Ark Corsairs, but holy shit, man, the mortars and the bombs just go into town. Some really good kills on the Rotting Promethean gunnery mob too. So yeah, I mean, at first I thought Sergeant Spaghetti was going to be in for a world of hurt, but turns out all of his range units had enough chaff to hold down the enemy and pull it off. But I mean, I do stand by what I said there. I think Krakenmeister, one of the things to do differently in hindsight was to focus on those flanks more. Once again, I'm sitting here in the third person point of view saying all of this, you know, in a theoretical space. So always want to emphasize easier said than done, but I do think with the infantry superiority here, really needed to go for a wide formation because, I mean, look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we'll considering the Rotting Promethean gunnery mob there too, plus summons. You always got to keep in mind there's summons. But 7 infantry versus, what do we have here? 4, 9, 12. 12 units of infantry, all of which outclass this. I think if you would have gone wider, maybe walked to the center and ran the flanks, that way by the time they all showed up, they kind of are attacking in synchrony. But once again, easier said than done. But as a caster, just always want to point out the areas for improvement, and I think going wider in this frontline engagement really would have possibly sealed the deal for Krakenmeister. This army's very nice and had a ton of firepower, but I do think this is one of those armies that as soon as the chaff is gone, it's going to be game over pretty quickly because none of these units are effective at defending themselves in melee combat. It's actually mostly about the repeater crossbow pick. Normally foot crossbows can take out the bombers before we get there. It's just afraid of deck droppers. That's a fair point. Yeah, deck droppers would have been worrisome, and the repeater crossbows do trade better against them. But yeah, those deck gunners did some mean work. Snorri Whitebeard, meaning he is alive during the War of the Beard and a friend of Malekith who betrayed the oath of friendship they swore. Killaran, I need to go read up more on Grombrindle. I didn't realize he was a friend with Malekith before he betrayed his oath. But yeah, good stuff, guys. Let's update that scoreboard, throw up the army blocker, and watch the final round here in this best of 5. So it's tied 2-2. And for the final round, Bretonnia versus Tomb Kings. Sergeant Spaghetti leading the Knights of the Lady against the undead Egyptian faction here, our Tomb Kings. Snorri was. Grombrindle is only probably Snorri. That's fair. That sounds fair. I will look into this theory and let you know my opinion, but I'm going to take your word for it, Killaran. You wouldn't lead me astray. Okay, let's go ahead, watch the replay, remove the army blocker, and throw up the intro card as we load into this match. He was the only Dwarf the Phoenix King stated deserved respect. Damn. Those pretentious high elves always looking down on the dwarfs. But here we have it, round 5. Sergeant Spaghetti with the BAM. Oh my god, I didn't update it. Oops. Alright, it's Bretonnia and Tomb Kings. Silly me. I need to get this intro card. We've had him every battle. Bretonnia. Wahaha! There we have it. So, round 5, Sergeant Spaghetti with the Bretonnians taking on Krakenmeister and the Tomb Kings. .rip, you join a tourney like this by joining the Discord. Yeah, this is the final of finals, God of Gobos. This is round 5 of the best of 5 final. So Lost Mystery. Gotta love those Bretonnias, don't you? So that he would return to aid his people during their time of greatest need. Perhaps because of this, there are rumors that the mysterious White Dwarf is actually Snorri Whitebeard. If they were true, that would mean the White Dwarf is truly an ancestor that somehow managed to transcend the limits of mortality. That would be pretty dope. I like that idea, and I'm gonna believe it. Lost Mystery E. Glad he made it, buddy. Just in time for the final round. And speaking of final round, let's get to it. So we have the Bretonnians here, led by Sergeant Spaghetti. I'm actually going to go slow-mo because both of these players have decent-sized armies. We got Battle Pilgrims making up the front line. 5 of them, one of them being the ROR. Have Peasant Bowmen in the back line, 3 of them. Men-at-Arms holding up that rear line. We got Peasant Mob on either flank, and then we're also going to have Questing Knights on either flank by the looks of it. Oh, no, just kidding. Knights of the Realm on the left flank, Questing Knights on the right flank, and Knights of the Realm in the center as well. Over here, a Spirit Leech going to be coming down from Archon the Black, who we will cover in just a moment. But first, we got 2 Paladins. Both of them are going to have Guardian and the Potion of Toughness? Foolhardiness. Damn it. We also have the Fey Enchantress here. Chalice of Potions. We're also going to have Arcane Conduit, Regrowth, and Mist of the Lady. Other than that, we have the Tomb Kings here. Archon the Black, as we just mentioned. Spirit Leech. Looks like he has the Tomb Blade of Archon. No, that's the Liber Mortis. As well as My Will Be Done, and the Curse, and Life Leeching. So pretty cheap Archon. Now, other than this, he's going to have a army with a lot of Skeleton Spearmen. Looks like 5 of them. One of them being King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. We have Skeleton Warriors in the back, on the flanks, and a Tomb Guard, a single Tomb Guard in the back. The Blessed Legion of Pakath over here, the Armor Sundering Skeleton Archers. We have 2 Great Bows. No, make that 3 Great Bows. We have a Tomb Scorpion. We have a Lich Priest of Life with Net of Mintok and Foss Protection. And then we have the Eyes of the Desert, ROR Sepulchral Stalkers. Absolutely love these units. Powerful range attacks, stock, and bonus versus large armor piercing and melee combat. So, other than that, I think we're just getting into the battle now. So, the archers are going to open fire into the Holy Wardens. They do have bronze shields. Oh no, not the ROR actually, because they have dual weapons, so they'll actually be more susceptible to archery fire. Tomb Scorpion is coming out to play, but oh no, it might have just killed itself. It's really out of position, and these 2 nobles, or the 2 paladins, are coming in on it quick. It's gonna get staggered right there, and I think it will be able to survive and pull out of here, but yeah, it's taking some really big damage very early on here, which is never a good thing to see. It is going to get close enough to get that attack animation, though, if it was given an attack order, into the back of these Battle Pilgrims, and we'll see what happens from here. However, the Peasant Bowmen are going to be overwhelming the the Blessed Legion of Pakath, and we'll see what the Ushapti bows with the Ushapti with Great Bows can do here, as I imagine they're going to be used to target down the Bretonnian cavalry. Oh, a Chalice of Potions going down there, devastating King Nikesh's Scorpion Legion. Holy Wardens of Masantal should be able to have it from there as long as they don't get shot to death first. But some nice play there from the Bretonnian player here. And the Tomb Scorpion, once again, just didn't get to a safe spot, and it's going to shatter. And that's a huge initial loss for our Tomb King player here as the Bretonnians start pushing forward in force. We're going to have the Questing Knights taking a ton of damage from the Ushapti with Great Bows, but the Knights of the Realm still looking okay. These ones taking some damage. But the other ones over here also doing just fine. But look at this, Bretonnian's cavalry is idle. There's so many avenues to exploit, and he absolutely needs to get them into combat, because right now they're just not getting any value. These ones were netted in place, though, so I want to point that out. And the Questing Knights have been deleted with the combination of Ushapti with Great Bow Fire and the Eyes of the Desert firing away. And this cavalry needs to be careful. Spirit Leech is going down on top of them consistently, and the Great Bow Fire is just tailor-made to tear them to pieces. Those huge old arrows flying through man and horse alike, and we'll see what happens from here. The balance of power is slightly edging towards Bretonnian's favor, and now that this cavalry on the flanks is active, they're starting to get some really good work done here. Skeleton Warriors and Skeleton Spearmen should be knocked out completely, which is going to free up 2 units of cav and the Battle Pilgrims to absolutely just fly into the flank here and shut down all these range units. And if the Tomb Kings lose their range units, I think it's going to be a game over from there. The Tomb Scorpion's gone. The Paladins and the Fey Enchantress are still healthy. You have the Ushapti summoned back here on top of the Peasant Bowman Archers, and that's going to be doing some nice work. Not only taking off a lot of health, but also, and possibly more importantly, preventing them from firing for the moment. The Tomb Kings need as much time as they can without distraction to just focus fire the elite Bretonnian cavalry. Over here, though, Archon the Black has gotten himself in a very precarious situation. He's in combat, kind of pinned in place with a noble behind him. And if the noble can get on top of him, there goes the Fey Enchantress, actually kind of knocking him forward. And now Archon should be able to escape. So we'll see what happens from here. But if Archon dies, then the Tomb King's chances are going to go right down the drain. However, some really good work from the Tomb Kings here in the backline. Look at these Knights of the Realm. Completely devastated from that archer, from that great bow fire. And yeah, they're just getting torn to shreds. And I think the other Knights of the Realm is actually completely dead. So Bretonnian cavalry, I'm taking a look around the field. It's no more. They have their heroes, but no cavalry. However, Crumbling Archon the Black has 200 health, and he has no way to heal it up unless... And if he keeps crumbling, this is going to be the leadership for the Tomb Kings. Gone. 120, 105, 94. Oh, no. I don't think Archon is going to make it. He's going to crumble out of existence, and that will be a huge blow to the Tomb Kings here. Now the Bretonnian hit squad has their hands free to go focus on the Ushapti and the Eyes of the Desert Sepulchral Stalkers. Still not over yet, though, as these Ushapti with great bows, if their focus fire is on point, they don't have any cavalry to worry about, so now they should be able to focus on the Fey Enchantress and potentially kill her off. And if they can kill the Fey Enchantress, then I think they still stand a strong chance of winning this game outright. They have the Lich Priest for leadership. The Eyes of the Desert are very, very healthy still. And we'll just have to see what happens. But the Ushapti are starting to run low on fire. Oh, but man, the Fey Enchantress is taking so much work. And now the Eyes of the Desert Sepulchral Stalker is hitting her too. Regrowth has been cast down on top of her, though. And that is probably going to seal the fate of the Tomb Kings, because that regrowth is going to do so much healing. The great bow is firing away, but that regrowth bringing the balance of power significantly in favor of the Bretonnians. The nobles are in the back line. They have bonus versus large. They have peasant mob to act as meat shields for them. And now that the nobles are on top of the Ushapti great bows, it's going to be a GG. They're hunting down the Lich Priest as well. And look at that. The noble sons of Bretonnia are going to do this for the lady, led by the Fey Enchantress herself. And it's going to be an epic best-of-5 series here. Everybody in chat, be sure to give these players some love. Krakenmeister, it's a pleasure to have you here watching. But yeah, well-played series, wonderful games to both you and Sergeant Spaghetti. And happy to see a best-of-5 go to an ace match. It's been a while. I feel like lately I've been seeing them usually go in a 3-0 or a 3-1 fashion. So nice to see a full best-of-5 all the way to the end. Nobles are going to be diving in here to the Sepulchral Stalkers, who are in combat with the Fey Enchantress. And epic showdown between these two fine players. So we're going to see Sergeant Spaghetti become our newest fresh recruit champion. And he's going to be automatically qualifying for a position in the playoffs. Yep, exactly. You gotta feed your horses, Tomb Kings. They're just skin and bones. Not even skin, just bones. Wonderful series to both of those guys. So thank you both so much for playing. Krakenmeister, thank you so much for tuning in. AKA Egypt Falcon. No shame there, man. Great series across the board. The last battle was probably the toughest one, but I mean, every other game was very close. And I would say both of you each had a convincing victory in the series, and then the rest of them were very close, down to the wire in a lot of matches. So Great games, nothing to be ashamed of here, and I absolutely loved the builds from both of them. Some really solid builds, and I love the Fresh Recruit tournaments in particular because you get to see off-meta builds. It's been a while since I've seen triple Ushopti with great bows.